Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, trainer at Productive Learning. So excited that you're here and to hear our guest, Colleen Biggs. Welcome, Colleen. How are you?
I'm so wonderful, Leisa, and honored to be
Good.
here. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
And if you're watching the show, you can see Colleen is from Lead Up for Women, and she's got some really great tips on how to stand out and speak up and be a success. And I cannot wait to get into those. And I also want to make sure that you are all aware of a couple of free gifts you have as a listener to our show. One, if you're a speaker and you're interested in getting booked, staying booked, attracting more clients through speaking, but you're not really sure where to get started, head on over to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com and you can get a free gift. It's 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. So make sure and get that at GetSpeakingGigsNow.com. Now, you may not be a speaker, but you may be someone who knows how important your thoughts are, and you're just, maybe just having some anxiety or having some struggles with something, or maybe you have a big goal in front of you or not quite sure how to get to that goal. I'm going to give you a gift from Productive Learning, and that's at productivelearning.com/gift. There's a course that you can access for free. It's called New Thinking for New Actions. And I don't know about you, but I know when I apply new thinking, I certainly get different results, especially when I'm not doing so well. We all have those days. And this is a really powerful course. I want to make sure and offer that to you. That's at productivelearning.com/gift. So now you've got your gifts, you've got access to that. I want to hear a little bit more about Colleen, because I know she's got some really, really good stuff to share. She's built up this really incredible women's group. I got a chance to attend last week. It was amazing. Of course, it was virtual, but met some amazing people. Colleen, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Leisa. Thanks again for having me. So I come from the corporate world. I was a corporate girl, thought I was going to retire from the corporate world, and that didn't happen. So I can tell you along the way, I learned 3 things. A, women do not step into the spotlight, and we do not have the opportunity to promote ourselves enough. We have the opportunities, we just don't. Why? Maybe we don't have the self-confidence to do it, or the self-esteem to do it. Whatever those reasons are, I know that women lack in that. Second was, I really wanted to be able to help women come together as a community, support each other, love each other, and lift each other. And then we could create more jobs for women, in the executive areas of all of these companies. And, Leisa, it's very important to me that women understand their worth and that they're educated and motivated and inspired. So Lead Up for Women is not a woo-woo group. We do the kumbayas and all that, but we're about real results. I create platforms for women to step into the spotlight all the time. And I am like the leading example of that. I say yes and step in, on platforms whenever I have the opportunity to do that. We publish a magazine, and I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to share more about Lead Up for Women with women, bring them into a community where they feel safe, where they're not judged, and where they can really grow their level and circle of influence beyond what they thought was possible.
Yeah, and I because I had a chance to attend one of your sessions for Lead Up for Women, it was really cool, and do some research on it. It's really cool. It's not just like another networking group. Instead, it's a community that you've built that really helps women rise up. And like you said, you bring, from what I can tell and what I know about you, you're really bringing the corporate structure and background and thinking that you acquired to that platform for the entrepreneurial woman, or for the executive woman who wants to be in another community of women outside of their job, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah. I want women to have the opportunity to excel and really take the lead and be leaders in our families, in our communities, and in our careers, and in our businesses. And we don't always do that. I'm going to be honest. We don't always do that. And so I want women to have the skills to be able to do that. And I also want them to believe in themselves and put themselves out there. And a lot of women are just a little afraid to step into that spotlight. So providing them a safe space to do that, and promoting the heck out of them, and giving them the opportunity to take those assets, and now they can utilize that to market themselves by being on our podcast or teaching a webinar or whatever it may be. It really just gives them the skills and the clarity and the confidence to do more in their
Absolutely.
careers and in their business.
Yeah, I love that. So it's like, and I'm doing that too. Just I didn't really. It's in a different way. So I'm like, I'm on board. I'm on board.
Yeah, you're in your lane and I'm in my lane.
I love it. I love it. And then you have some tips you're going to share with us about really stepping up into that success, and how do you really attract that success. Can you share your first tip with us?
I will. And I want to talk about how we really show up and be seen
Sure.
today, because that's my big thing.
Yes.
So tip number 1, everyone ready for this one? Always say yes.
Okay.
Why do we want to always say
yes? Tell us more.
Leisa, come on, you know this, right? Because if someone says, hey, we have an opportunity for you to step on a stage in front of 200 people, you say yes. And then you figure out the details later of what am I going to talk about? What do they want to hear? And you write your talk if you don't have a talk. But say yes and figure out the details later.
That reminds me of a quote that I was, maybe it was at your group. Was it when we were talking about wealth, when you make decisions quickly with wealth? Was that through your group?
Wealth rewards speed.
Yes. I remember you just were talking about that. And I was like, oh, that's so true. Like when we hesitate and worry and I don't know, and I can't decide and I'm not sure, and we can just stay in neutral, then I don't know. And I know we have all reasons for doing that. But so I love the saying yes, and just kind of, if you say yes and then worry about the details later, you'll have time. You have time to worry about the details. In fact, I've even been asked, it was maybe a month ago, I was asked at the very last minute, somebody pulled out of a big, huge event and they had an hour spot to be on a panel. And it was a paid gig, meaning like I would need to pay to be involved, which I don't usually do. But the other speakers, there was a speaker there who has spoken on every single continent. He is partnering up with like major people, like huge player. And I was on the panel with him and 2 other people. So, it was like, what an opportunity. And even though it was at the last minute, I was able to say, yeah, I can do that. And I'll be there. I'll just be there. So I love what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly what you just said, Leisa, I think is what we want to drill home to your listeners today, which is say yes, because you never know where that path is going to lead you.
That's right.
So that's why it's important to say yes.
I love that. Yeah. And then you have another tip for us too.
I do. So tip number 2 is don't let judgment stick. So number 2, don't let judgment stick. It's not yours anyhow. And people are like, what does that mean? So I go back to recess when I was a child, when they used to do recess, because we had these things called schools that we used to actually attend, back in the day. And my parents taught me for bullies. They said, your rubber, their glue, whatever they say bounces off of you and sticks back on them. So I would say, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks back on you. And I would say that when someone would give me a label or call me a name, right? Mm-hmm. The kids are mean and they call you names. Well, let's graduate to adulthood. And we allow judgment to stick on us because of the way society is. And if someone says we're not good enough, or or they judge us for what we're wearing or what we look like, or, look at culture today. They tell us how to wear our hair, how to eat, what we should look like, what's the fad that's in. Really, it's all judgment that we're applying to ourselves. So it's very important to believe in yourself and believe in understanding that judgment is theirs to stick on them, because it's their low self-esteem or their judgments or their own reflections of their insecurities that they're reflecting upon you. So it should never stick.
Love that. Yeah. I never thought about that, the rubber glue reference to adulthood, but I that's so true. There's a thing a phrase we'll mention at productive learning, and it's called like a first person, like everything is if you believe that the concept, like everything is a first person communication, meaning everything out of my mouth is a communication to myself, about myself, for myself, whatever. Like it's something that I'm saying to me. And if you can hear what other people are saying to you as a first person communication to them, I think that's what you're talking about. We're like, oh, if they're judging you or saying something, that's somehow an insecurity with them that's feeling threatened possibly, or just a fear. Sometimes it's out of fear. We're trying to protect somebody, right? By saying, oh, well, don't put yourself out there. You're not ready yet. Like someone might say that to you as a upcoming speaker or entrepreneur because they're scared. What if you fail? And they're trying to protect you, quote unquote, but then that can feed into your own insecurities. So even that could be a judgment. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you do hear it from that first person, like you talked about, when they're talking about themselves, then you open your heart differently when you're hearing it from them, and you really see it coming from them about them instead of it coming from them about you.
Yes. Yeah. And that kind of like flips it, right? And you're like, oh wait, this isn't actually about it. Like if obviously it depends on how emotionally triggered you are. We know we're not superhumans and all this, but if we can remember this while we're calm, calm, cool, and collected, then you're more likely able to bring that tool in or that awareness in, right? When you're feeling it, or at least 20/20 hindsight later on, you can reflect.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I love that. And then what's your third tip for us?
Okay, the third tip I have today for you guys is step in every spotlight. And that kind of goes along with always saying yes, right? If there's a spotlight available for you to step in, or even if there's not, make one. Again, that was the one thing that I didn't do. I was really honed in on my skills for years and years and years when I was in corporate America, but I didn't put myself in the spotlight enough. Well, if you don't say what it is that you do or ask for what you need, then by the way, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You're getting nothing if you're quiet.
Right.
So remember that and create spotlights for yourself. Step into the spotlight. Back in the day, Leisa, when I was being raised, if we stood up and talked about ourselves, it was called being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that exists anymore. And that really has caused women to really unconditionally serve so many other people and putting ourselves aside because of that selfishness. And it's even hard for me today to get a massage or get my nails done or, get a facial and not feel like, I deserve this for this reason, or, kind of justify it instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to go golf. The guys say that all the time. My husband's like, I'm going to go golf. He doesn't need to justify it. So put yourself in the spotlight because that's how you're going to get seen. Think of a spotlight like everything else is dark. It's shadows around it. You're not being seen unless you're in the spotlight.
Right. And I think I know for me, because especially when I coach speakers, there's a lot of fear and self-doubt and resistance to being seen. And so I was, working with some folks earlier this week about that as well. It's just like, how do we peel back what's actually going on so you can have the right conversation with yourself so that then you can be seen, right? It's like, it'll come in all these different, resistance shows up in all these different ways. Like all of a sudden it's really complicated. I'm like, you're making this really complicated. Why are we, this isn't complicated. You just need to hit the video button, hit a button. It's not hard. You can do it. And so then I know, okay, we're in resistance. And what's going on? Is there something that is unsafe about being seen or being visible or being heard? And I think as we grow, and I want to hear how you are seeing that with the people you help, but like as we grow and push beyond our limits, right? I would imagine that resistance shows up a little bit
every level,
stronger, right? Yeah.
Every level. So because we know it shows up at every level, and I really feel like the book, The Big Leap, is like, so important. And I even named my my VIP coaching program Leap, because you are taking a leap. We're moving from where our comfortability is to the uncomfortability. And that's when it shows up. When you're uncomfortable, we're becoming resilient. We're in the growth mode. We want to shrink back to the comfort mode. This is normal for anybody in any business at any level, by the way. So if you're out there thinking, oh, I thought it was just me. No, it's every single one of us. So when you're in that uncomfortability, the best tip I can give you for how you step into the spotlight and feel safe is to recognize that you're self-sabotaging, recognize that there's an issue, recognize when things aren't going the way they should, deal with it. You've got to work through it. So like Leisa said, are you complicating this? It's just hit play, sit back, realize you're complicating it, work through the complication, get to the real reason why you're afraid to show up, work through it. That creates the space for you to then have the opportunity to step forward and be in creative mode and feel comfortable to move forward. We literally get to the diving board and we sit down after we've done work. And that's when it shows up, by the way.
Yes.
You do all the work to prepare. So you've done all the marketing, you've got the dates ready for your launch, you have everything ready, you've built the talk, and it's the day of the event, and all of a sudden you're sick that morning.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Really?
I
Right?
think, oh, I love, yeah.
You have a massive headache, or so when we're in building mode and creation mode, we're awesome because we're in action. But when it actually comes time and it's here, that's when we start self-sabotaging and we create. That just goes to show you how strong the mind is.
Mm-hmm.
We create all of this around us that doesn't exist.
Right.
We're creating it into existence. So if our mind is so strong to do that, then people that believe that you can't manifest, are you kidding me? That's how, like, of course you can manifest. You just manifested yourself sick.
Yeah. Yeah, we're manifesting machines. Yes. Yeah. Even when you said the word self-sabotage, I mean, like, even, you know, and you probably hear that people describe that experience, where we procrastinate. We always, the mind is never without a goal, right? So it's like, actually, you're getting exactly what you want, just not on a conscious level. You're getting subconsciously what your mind is like, protect, no, stop, don't do that. That's too, you know, that's too scary. So, yeah, I love what you were saying up there too. It's I had something I was going to share, but I cannot remember what it was, but that's okay. It'll come to me some other time. But yeah, it's true. When I know what it was. So one thing that I notice sometimes my clients get stuck with is content creation mode over and over and over again. So once this talk is done, or the book is done, or the course is done, then they're like, well, now I need to create another course. And I'm like, no, you need to sell the thing that you just created, and then you can create that other thing. But we get in, sometimes content creation can be the distractor or the resistance coming through. Like, well, it's not ready yet. It's not quite done yet. And I'm like, it's done is better than perfect. Let's go. We got to keep it moving. So
yeah, one of the best ways to combat that, and I use this with every client I work with, any advice I always give is get the date out there somewhere public. It's what a coach taught me when I had resistance. So if you're launching a book, if you're launching a project, if you're launching an event, you publicly put the date out there on social media and then you start working your way toward it.
Love it.
Once you release it and get the date out there, then you start working, everything starts pulling towards you at that point. You've got plenty of time. It's like stepping in the spotlight. It's about saying yes. It's about not letting things stick. You know, all these tips that we talked about today, as long as you don't care about what other people think and you're just working toward that goal that you put out there, you will do it. And then I want you to reflect on, when in your life have you not accomplished something you said you were going to accomplish? Think about that. If you think back, there's probably not much. So we're really amazing beings in what we've been able to create in the accomplishments. You've just forgotten about them and you've let yourself get in your own way.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And then when we, especially as entrepreneurs, or if you're out there in business on your own and you don't tell anybody about your goals, it's a lot easier to not achieve them or to push back, or so that'll good old public announcement really works, right? You're like, oh, now I have to do it. So I love that. And then I know you you're leading Lead Up for Women, obviously. Where do you want to have people to find you, or tell us.
It's the easy. I created it to be the easiest thing, and I got lucky because it was available. So we're Lead Up for Women everywhere. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook. We're all over. We're on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm Colleen Biggs, so you can also follow me as well. But it's leadupforwomen.com. And then, of course, we have a lot of free downloads. You can get a free magazine download, a free chapter download of one of my books. You can get a free 10 tips from our website. There's so many opportunities. We have a long, a video that's available, so you can find out like why Lead Up for Women, what does it exist for, and what do the members get out of it. So we provide everything for you on the website for you to make the decision if this is the right community for you, because I do challenge you to think about what your core values are and what those guiding principles are, and then find the right community. No matter what community it is, we should always be encircled by a community of other people that are like-minded to help to keep us challenged, to keep us fueled, to keep us accountable.
Love it. Yes, that community is so important. So basically, Lead Up for Women, you can find it pretty much anywhere. Internet, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your preference is, YouTube. So if you are a woman who is an entrepreneur looking for a community, looking for like support, looking like how can I get out there and seen and heard and get some great business support and strategies, then you're going to want to go to that site. And one more question for you, Colleen. So this doesn't have anything to do with what we talked about so far, but the show is called Rock Your Talk. So my question is, who's your favorite rock band or rock singer? Do you have one?
Yes, Bon Jovi.
Yeah, there we go. Living on a Prayer. Okay, I love it.
He's my favorite.
He's a neat man too, from what I hear. He is just always doing, putting out goodness and kindness into the community, which also brings us to, my reminder for all of you. Remember to be kind to yourself if you haven't already done that today, and be kind to somebody else. While you're being kind, make sure to subscribe for our channel so that you get more expert tips coming your way on YouTube. And we will see you the next episode. Thank you, Colleen.
You're so welcome.